first time going live with someone on TikTok, so
Oh my
I'm so
goodness.
smart and you figured that out.
Well, people had invited me before, and I was always live when it happened. So I was like, maybe I need to be live. I'm not sure.
Makes sense. Because it definitely did say when I clicked invite, it said friends of yours who are live, and it was 0. So, okay, they have to be live. Okay, cool. I love that. Yay. Okay, everyone. So, welcome to the Manage Your Class Show. I am your host, Tierney. I've been doing the Manage Your Class Show since October. In October, I did 4, one each week. That nearly killed me. I couldn't do that anymore. So I did 1 in November, 1 in December, and we're back for the very first one of 2022. And I'm very excited because it seems like forever ago when I asked you to be on here. So the fact that we are actually doing it, yay. All right. So in today's Manage Your Class Show, we are going to be talking about all things desk pets, okay? Specifically, we're going to be discussing how Marissa came up with the idea for desk pets, okay? Should desk pets be used in the classroom, and the pros and cons to using desk pets. So if you are seeing me for the very first time, hi, hello. My name is Tierney, and I help teachers just like you who are in their beginning years of teaching. So 0 to 5 years of teaching experience max is who I serve. I specifically work with teachers who are in those beginning years but serving at Title I schools. So underserved schools. I have people I forget in other countries sometimes who tune in and they're like, what's Title I? So I'm like, Title I, it just means a school where a majority of the student body, it has a low socioeconomic status. So an underserved school, and I help you manage your class. And I do that through helping you to create simple systems that you can confidently implement consistently that prevent misbehavior before it even starts. So today I am joined by Marissa, aka the Desk Pet Lady, the Desk Pet originator, the creator, the OG, the number one, the one and only. And I'm so excited. So we're gonna have a great time. Marissa, how was your day today?
It was good. I feel like school right now is just kind of a blur. The days just go so fast, and I don't know what it is. Just for me, I don't know if that's for everybody else, but we came back and it's like things are rolling, testing is happening, and I'm just going with it. So it was a good day. What about you?
My day was rough. To be honest. Okay, so the virus, is hitting us, right? And so pivot virtual, right? And so with that, there's been quite a few teachers who have been out, and I have no problem with stepping in the seat for my teachers when they are out. That's fine. I don't have an issue with that. And so, but I've been doing that every day this week. And so it's like retraining those muscles directly working with the students virtually. Because last year, okay, I was teaching 6th grade and I was doing it virtually and in person at the same time. My district called it simultaneous teaching. Very unsustainable method. Do not agree with it. Do not support it. So it's either you're going to be virtual or you're in person, not both at the same time. And I did that all last year, and I became really efficient at it and good at being able to do all the things. But training those muscles back, even just doing just virtual, I'm like, I'm a little bit tired. But I definitely am thankful for that experience that I had last year, because I wouldn't be able to have been able to step right in the seat for these teachers who even sometimes call out kind of last minute and be able to step in for them so their kids can still get a quality education. So my week has been kind of exhausting, but tomorrow's Friday. We do have early release. Hallelujah. So I'm happy
Us
about
too, yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, tell me what state you're in.
I am in New Mexico, but for a while, sorry, this is too bright for me. For a while, I was in Indiana. So that's kind of where I started my teaching career. And just this last year, we moved to New Mexico. This is where my husband's from. So it was kind of a family move.
Awesome. Okay, never been to New Mexico. So what grade levels do you currently teach? I know you teach music.
Yes. So currently I teach kindergarten through 6th grade, or not 6th grade. I used to kindergarten through 3rd grade.
Okay, cool. And so, also when you were in Indiana, you did music as well?
Yes, I've always done music. That's my degree. I could not do what a classroom teacher does. I seriously, like, people don't realize what it takes to do that. And I think sometimes they don't assume that it's not as much work as it is, but I'm like, hats off to you guys. I'll take them whenever you want me to have them because you guys need your time. So
I'm laughing. Okay, so what year of teaching is this for you in the work?
So this is my 4th school year, but I just completed 3 years. So I started in January of 2019 teaching high school,
Okay.
choir and piano, and then I transitioned to K through 6 music, did that for 2 years, and then I just completed a 3rd year, but at the semester. So now I'm on my 4th year, if that makes sense. But I've been in 4 school years. It feels like forever at this point.
Got you. Okay, awesome. I'm glad you are trekking along. I always share because, like I said earlier, I work with teachers who have 0 to 5 years of teaching experience. And so, you know what the statistics always say, like they don't make it to 5. So I'm so happy you're still here in the work. You're making it happy. Okay, so with that, how would you say overall this school year has been going for you?
I would say it's definitely been a transition for me. I went from inner city Indianapolis, a really, really poor school, to a very small town and still a Title I school, but cost of living affects that kind of poverty rate, I feel like. So it can still be considered Title I, but it's still not the same economic impact.
Yes.
So this has been kind of a culture shock for me,
Okay.
but it also feels kind of like, I don't know how to describe it, but it feels a lot easier here, but almost in a way, I'm not connecting with my students as much. So it's just been kind of odd. I don't know. It's been good. I enjoy where I work. I think I'll be there for a while, but it's just been kind of a culture shock for me. That's the best way to put it. It's been really strange.
No, I understand. I understand the school setting that you're describing right now. It's very funny. So this month I launched a podcast, right? And it's called Teachers Who Quit. And I'm sharing about the stories of teachers who pretty much decided to say, you know what, this isn't bringing me joy anymore. I'm pivoting to something else. And so with that, I was just sharing my experience on my most recent recording that I had. Episode is not released yet. But I was sharing about one experience I had. It was after my 3rd year of teaching. I had this long commute, like an hour each way.
I've done it before too.
That'll kill you almost. And so I said, you know what? I'm going to pivot to another school. Now, where I have lived is not in the heart of the city. Okay, it's on the outskirts. It's in a suburb. And I said, I want to be closer to home, but I still want to be able to serve and work in a Title I school. And so I remember I was looking up that district where I live, and it's only a few Title I schools in the district. I only applied to those. Like, I applied to the district, you know how you do, but I only reached out to principals of those Title I schools. So I said, I'm not teaching at a non-Title I school. That's just me, my personal preference. And so I got hired at this one Title I school in the district, and it was an elementary, 4th grade is what I was teaching. And it was such a unique setting because it was like that borderline, just enough to consider you to be Title I percentage. And so I had literally students who were like being bussed in from like down the way coming to our school. And then I had this other group of students who parents were driving Teslas and Mercedes Benz and Ubers, and I'm just like, what's going on here? but it was a Title I school because it was like literally that even split percentage. And that, yeah, when you're talking about culture shock, I hear you on that. Very interesting experience. I will let you know I only was at that school 1 year. Lots to share on that at another time. But I want you, if you're listening, okay, right here, I'm seeing the like count and we're at 22 likes. Let's get this up. If you are listening, okay, I'm seeing as many of you with us tonight. LOL, I'm joking. It's 9 of you. But thank you so much, Kristen. I see Sammy. I see Jennings. Thank you, Brianna. Make sure y'all give this a like so that we can get this pushed out to more people. So some of you have boldly shared your thoughts and opinions on desk pets, okay? We're at 82, 98, 100. There we go. Thank you. Hey, amazing Grace. Some of you have boldly shared your thoughts, your opinions on desk pets. Several of you in the comment section of some of my videos have asked me to share my thoughts and my opinions on desk pets. Your wish is my command, but first, let's see who's in the building, okay? I would love for you to drop a pink emoji in the chat if you are an elementary teacher, okay? I want you to drop a blue emoji in the chat if you are a middle school teacher. Oh, that's a good question. I'll get to that. And then I want you to drop a green emoji in the chat if you are high school. Okay, pink emoji. So we see elementary. What grade do you teach? And while you're telling us what grade band you serve in, lots of elementary in the building, I want to share the reason why I only chose Title I schools is because rewind it back. I'll go ahead and share my story in like elevator pitch style. Grew up private Christian school, K through 12 all my life, okay? Private school, right? Found out about the inequity that existed within the education system, was not okay with that by any means. Saw that literally a student's zip code determined the quality of education that they received. And I was not okay with that at all. I saw that as a problem. I wanted to become a part of the solution. So I chose to serve in schools where the students were pretty much look like me, but didn't get the same opportunity to have this access to what I had. I went to a private school growing up. You know, my single mother was able to pay for tuition for me to go to school to get a quality education. My mom did end up going to school at what I would say is the communities where I've always served in. That's where she grew up, okay? But her story has a big tie to education. I mean, she graduated, she went to Texas A&M, she got a degree in engineering, you know, great, you know, pathways of opportunity expanded for her. And so me serving in these communities is my way of like paying it forward for kids who share my background. And that's why I'm passionate about serving in Title I communities. And so with that, I would like to have you share, but listen, so we have a good mix of people here with us tonight, but a majority of them are representing elementary, okay? But Marissa, I need to ask you the question, how did you come up with this idea of desk pets? Can you please just rewind it, take us back to the beginning? When did it all start?
Really, okay, so backtracking a little bit, when you were talking about just working in Title I schools, that's where you felt like you wanted to be, you wanted to identify with the students. It's similar to what I wanted to do as well. I knew I wanted to work in Title I schools, and I just grew up very poor. So from an aspect of, I'm from Texas as well. I didn't grow up around people of color. And so in my, I don't know the word for it, but for me, it was like, I want to work with kids who are poor. And so that's the reason I'm in Title I schools. I did find myself in an extremely diverse community where I am very much the minority, which again was another way for me to address some biases with myself and try to understand that, you know, I don't always identify with these kids the same way that I think that I do. And so addressing that has been pretty life-changing for me and understanding the world. Oh, my cat's trying to pull this over. Sorry. No, sir, Teddy. And so I find myself in a Title I school with students who don't look like me at all, maybe 2 in the whole school. And so it's hard to identify, to understand. And so I had a ton of classroom management problems my first year. Someone is saying Andy's coming in the comments. I believe you, Andy. I don't know who. I think I see different people than you see, and I have different comments than you have.
And that's so weird to me. So feel free to name and share things out that they're saying over there.
Okay.
Somebody over here, no sir, Teddy.
There's just like random people saying, Andy's coming. Andy's coming. It's different people. So I don't know who Andy is. Do you know an Andy?
No, who is that?
Okay. So anyway, I'll keep going. And so I found myself really struggling with classroom management. It was tough my first year. And really it took a year of building a foundation with my kids that they could trust me when they have never seen, they aren't around white people, they're not, that's not who their environment is around. And so trusting me and getting to know me took a long time to earn their trust. So the first year was rough, and that's not when I had desk pets. And so after my first year of craziness, I started thinking of what motivated my students to want to learn about music. What were some things that happened? So a huge thing that they loved was extra recess.
Yeah.
It says it's from Toy Story. Okay, Andy's from Toy Story.
Got you. Okay.
Okay. And so recess was a huge motivator for them. And they loved the prize box, earning a prize box, but I could never buy enough to give all of the students. And that kind of bothered me. I was like, it would be nice for everybody who's working hard, coming into my class. If we're having a successful class and we're learning something new, I want everybody to take something home. And I had always seen those erasers at Target, and I just never really thought of anything to do with them. And I was standing there in the summer of 2020. No. Yeah, I posted it in 2020, I believe. So it was the summer before I posted, and I just sat there and I was like, wow, how could I make these like engaging and cool? Because I could give these out to all my students. They're, very, very inexpensive. So, so I just standing there in Target dollar section thought, what if I called them desk pets and I made them this thing where they could take them back and have like, this is something that I would have loved as a kid, just to be able to have like my own little imaginary world and to have it living in my desk. It was like almost, there's a book that I read as a kid, or that I knew of. It was like some small figure living in a cabinet or something. Like it was a book. I don't know what it's called though. But it was a book about this guy living in a cabinet, or like that Shrunk movie, or just stuff that fascinated me. And I was like, the kids would love this. This is a great little thing to like play with in their desk. And when they're bored, it's a quiet activity. Mm-hmm. So I ended up buying a ton of them. I brought them back to school. We were virtual for like 8 weeks, I think, the beginning of school. So I didn't get to school until end of October, November. And then I finally got to introduce desk pets to my students, and I had no clue what I was doing. I was just like, I think these are really fun, and you could have them, like you could make a little house for them in your desk, and they could go home with you, and whatever you want to do with them. We just want to be able to learn and have fun. And honestly, the second year that I was there, I think just building rapport with the students and coming back and being excited, I didn't even need desk pets. There was no problems at all. Music was fun. We had built that rapport over a whole year. And so it was just really the kindergartners I didn't know. So then I introduced them to my class, and they were loving it, eating it up, and they thought it was so fun. And so that's when I recorded that video, and I'm like, I don't know if this could help anyone. I literally, of all the videos in the world, I would have never imagined that would resonate with so many people. So it kind of blew my mind. I was like, why are so many people watching this? What's funny is I had already had a following. It was not for teaching at all. I had like 30K, I think, at that time. And it was it's because I posted a video of a dog at an airport. It had nothing to do with teaching. So I was trying to get on the teaching side of TikTok for so long. And Desk Pets is what drove me to the teaching side.
You definitely decide.
I made it.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that background. It's great hearing your journey too. I didn't know you were from Texas like me. Hello.
Yeah, I'm from Austin.
Want to can always come work at my school. So with that said, I love hearing that journey of how Desk Pet started. Yes, dog videos, any kind of pet videos, I feel blow up on this app. So that's so funny that you said that your account was originally not really teacher related, but you had a video blowing it up in 30K. That's amazing. So on your side, what are the comments coming through? Because I had somebody who said, Stephanie, a first-year teacher struggling with her classroom management. I'm glad you found me. Hello, I'm your best friend. Someone asked if Desk Pets works with older students, 6th graders. And yeah, that's what's coming through here. And so I know that I definitely have room at the end of the stream after we hit our major points to take some questions. So you can store those questions too. And whatever stands out to you, we can get to for sure. But I want to go ahead and talk a little bit about, we know the reason why you created Desk Pets. You shared all that with us. What are your thoughts? Okay, over here, I'm needing us to get to 1,500 likes. How many on your side?
We got 600 over here.
Come on and get us to 1,000 and 1,500. Okay, so I wanted to ask you about how you specifically use Desk Pets in your room on a day-to-day basis. I know you mentioned that at one point it got to where you didn't really have to use it too much. You just more so kind of honed in on that new group that you were bringing in, those kinders. But as you built that rapport and all of that, you kind of saw that, hey, it's really not that necessary to have to keep using them. So I would love to learn more about how you are using it as the creator of Desk Pets. How does that play itself out day to day?
So it's kind of changed over time. As I've grown and I've learned, it's been, since I've started Desk Pets, it's been almost a year and a half. So how I'm using it in my classroom is meeting learning goals. So I am very serious about teaching music. I want the kids to learn about it and love it, so that kids like me who weren't super great in any other subject, if that is their thing, they can learn to love it. Because I feel like in elementary school, if you don't love it then, it's going to be really hard to love it in middle school. So learning is a huge thing for me, and I take it very seriously, and I want people to take me seriously. So we do a lot of it. In my classroom, we, at the beginning of every class, my classes are structured the same way every single day. They know exactly what every procedure is and every expectation. My lessons are only 22 minutes, so I have to stuff a lot of stuff. Yes, they're very short. I have to put so much into those lessons to get where I want to go with it, to meet the goals that I have for myself personally as an educator. So I don't waste any time. So when the students come in, we get started right away. We do a 3-part warm-up, music warm-up, and then I talk about our learning goal for the day. For example, in kindergarten, we've been learning about the pattern of 3, how we see it in the world and how we see it in music and how we hear it in music. So they know, I'll say, we're trying to get to the point where we can hear it in music and know what our bodies want to do when we hear a pattern of 3, which is sway. A lot of people probably don't know that. It's kind of a waltz meter, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And so, yeah, there we go. And so we lay that out at the very beginning. we go through our warm up. I say, this is what we're learning today, and we're going into our lesson. At the end of class, if I have had to do a lot of redirecting and I've had to pause to, you know, do other things, and we haven't met that learning goal as a class, then we just don't get desk pass that day because we still have more work to do. But I would say most of the time we are earning desk pets because it's a motivator for them to make sure, you know, especially for my little ones, because I feel like that's where it's been most beneficial for me, for my little bitty ones who are just brand new, fresh off of being COVID babies, you know, just totally like don't know how to socialize properly yet. It's been really beneficial there to like say, okay, we, you know, if we want to earn those desk pets, we've got to learn this new concept about music, and we can do this. We just, you know, need to keep on time. And so at the end of class, we'll line up. We'll say, okay, did we learn our goal today? Did we do our goal today? And most of the time it's yes. And then we pass them out. If not, we'll say, all right, we're going to try again next time. And then we move on. Usually it's totally fine. So that's kind of how I use it.
Okay, I love hearing that. So as a motivator, I like that. And I like that you mentioned, okay, because I think you pretty much know where I stand on this. But I like that you mentioned that you said that you have your routines and procedures and your expectations in addition to the desk pets. Do y'all hear that? Okay, I want y'all staying with me to the very end. But if you have to go, I want you to zone in on what she just said, okay? Because that... Okay, so with that, okay, so last year was my last year teaching, right? I mentioned that earlier. Or I maybe not said it was my last year but teaching, but I did share that last year I was in the classroom. I explained how I was virtual teaching, in-person teaching at the exact same time, but it was my last year teaching. June 2021 was my last time as a teacher before I moved into becoming an administrator. And so with that, I didn't know last year at all about desk pets even existing. However, did I buy Target dollar spot erasers? When I was a teacher year after year after year, 100% I did, 100%. Did I give them out to my students? 100% I did. Every single holiday, because Target had those themes with it. So yes, bet your bottom dollar I did have my Target dollar spot erasers. And I love how she calls them desk pets, and she just names them that. That's amazing. Really coined it, put her signature spin on it, right? So do I think they should be used in the classroom? Yes, if done correctly. So what do you all think? Those who are listening, if you're tuning in on Marissa's side, if you're tuning in on my side, I want you to do this. If you think you should use desk pets in the classroom, drop a 1 for yes. Please drop a 2 for no. Where do you stand? Share your opinion. That's what I love about TikTok. Everyone can share their opinion, no matter how controversial it is. All right. I see a 1 over here. How would these explicitly be taught? Good. I'm storing that in the database.
I've got a 1.25, a 1, a 1.
1.25. Okay. I have lots of 1s over here. No 2s. Do you see any on your side?
No.
So, and I mean, they kind of be a little bit crazy if they were following you but gave you a 2. I'm like, okay.
I have some.
No, yeah, I definitely, yeah. So with that, you know, let's go ahead and head into our pros and cons. Okay, and we're seeing your questions and we will make room to answer them. Okay, you guys, so hold tight. What are your pros and cons for using desk pets? So the idea that you gave birth to, desk pets in the classroom, is being used by teachers over this whole world, like globally, all over. I've seen, you search up the term desk pets, you see all these articles. We Are Teachers is the first article that comes up when I type desk pets in. And so I was reading that, looking at like, there's an adoption center and there's this and that. And you know, the TPT just took it and ran. And I'm like, I hope they credited Marissa on that. Okay, are you getting a percent of those royalties? But what would you say are some best practices when it comes to using desk pets? Like, Yeah, let's start there with the best practices. The ideal way that you believe they should be used in a classroom.
I have a few ideas how I have seen them used that I really, really like. And then there's some things that I really don't like.
Okay,
Some
let's
ways that I
hold on.
appreciate. Okay. I'll wait
The-
on those. Some ways that I really like is to see them used as, something to motivate the students. I've also really like to see them used as transition tools. I think that's such a fun way to let the students have a break from academic learning, but then they can go into something that's more into their imagination, and they could write stories about their desk pets during their transition times while the teacher is getting set up for the next subjects or whatever that is looking like for them. So I like that, like if you wanted to make it more academic, you could do like a creative writing thing where they could continue a story about their desk pet, or talk about their, like if they have an animal, their environment that they're living in. There's just so much you can do with it, and still keep it in a little box in your desk, and just pull them out as necessary. Recess inside for the day. Let's play with our little desk pets and have fun with it that way. So I definitely think it doesn't have to be for a lot of people. I know it is behavior management, but for or a part of it anyway. So it doesn't have to be that. But also, I really like it to see it used. What's the other way? I've seen it used as a desk tidiness tool. Our desk pets need a clean home and a clean environment. Our best learning happens when we're ready to learn. I don't think we should take it away. I think there's some way you could do that in a way that would motivate the students to keep their desk tidy for their desk pet, if that is a necessary thing. And I always say, like, figure out what your students need. What's happening in the classroom? Do you need an easier transition? Do you need some more time, or do you need to make some, like, are your principals asking you to make it academic 100% of the time, bell to bell? Some do that. Like how can we do that? How can we accomplish that with desk pets, and what are your students needing? So I guess that's kind of it.
Hey, sunflowers and cacti. Okay, so I hear motivator. I hear using it as transition tools. So what I got from that was AKA brain breaks, basically. I like that because I go noodle my students to the end. You can only cuckoo kangaroo so much. So with that, desk pets as a transition tool, using it as kind of that brain break, write about it. You can integrate it into the academic side. Desk tidiness tool. I hear you 100%. And what's interesting is, like, I think the last couple of years, kind of the desks where inside the classroom didn't even have that little nook where they could put stuff in. But I did have some desks rack down at the bottom. Mm-hmm. So desk tidiness tool could definitely work if you do have that space that can get pretty up if you're not checking that. I did have a specific classroom job. It was a cleanup captain. So that was my little helper there. Okay.
Can you hear my dog whining in the background? Okay, let me go let him out of the bedroom. But you can keep talking. I'll be right back. It'll take me 2 seconds.
No problem. So I see a lot of your questions coming through. Let's go ahead and see if we can get it to 3K likes. While we are waiting for Marissa to come back, I want to go ahead and share that if you wanted more support with your classroom management, right here, bit.ly/transform your class. You have to put it all capitals, but you'll get my free 5-video mini course that will help you with improving your classroom management. Is specifically designed for those teachers who are in years 0 to 5, all the way up to 5. And I do work with student teachers. There's actually a student teacher right now in my membership. I'm just like, oh my gosh, you're so dedicated to the work and becoming a classroom management expert. So let's go ahead and move to the next piece. What are the cons of using desk pets and some things to avoid? That might be from some things that you have seen floating around the interwebs that maybe aren't some of the best practices, and we don't have to name drop or anything like that, but we can talk about what we have observed and maybe how it's kind of more harmful rather than helpful.
All right, my turn.
Yes.
Okay. First, I would like to say that I since I'm a music teacher, I don't get to see the other side a lot of the time. For me, I get to see the kids for sometimes 20 minutes, and then I've taught classes that are 50 minutes where you have to fill all that time. Teachers do it all day, and so for me, I'm not on the other side, so I'm not going to harp too much on that. But I do think there are definitely ways that you can use it that would not be appropriate age-wise. And it's like, especially for our little ones, if that's kind of who you're using it for, developmentally, it's kind of, it could be a clip chart thing where one kid gets the good star and another kid doesn't. And and think about all of the times in your life that you've had a class like that. I know I have. I don't remember how many times I was on green at all. I don't remember, but I do remember the times that I was moved down. And so I think it can become that way where it's like, man, I just never get this reward, or I never get this. I can never do good enough, but it's really not appropriate developmentally. Because you have kids who are coming from all different backgrounds, and you have kids who, like, some of their behaviors are okay at home, and then at school it's not okay. And so for them, it's very confusing. And so a kid who's quiet and sitting straight and doing the do of what they're supposed to is supposed to be what they're supposed to look like, but that's not necessarily appropriate. And so to reward someone for doing that, I don't think is helpful. So when you use desk pets in that way, where some kids get them, some kids don't, I don't think that's useful. I don't think that having a desk pet jail or taking them away is appropriate. When you give a child something, you give it to them. You don't take it back. And I know that might be like a hot topic for some of you, and it's like, it's not such a big deal, but when you grow up in a background where you don't have a lot, and then you get something and you start writing stories about it and you start playing with it, and it becomes a supportive thing for you and to your day-to-day basis, then it really hurts to take things like that away. It's very confusing. And then the last thing that I will say is, it just slipped my brain. Give me 1 second. Let me think.
No worries. I do that all the time.
It was important too. So I was like, well, and then our kids emotionally, when you're a child, your emotions don't regulate sometimes in the best ways. And so again, to reward a child who regulates based on what we want to see and not who they are, and then you have a kid who can't regulate their emotions in the time that you want them to in order to earn a reward like a desk pet, because it's so easy to give out. That's not the best way to use them either. It's just not developmentally appropriate.
I hear you. So, desk pet jail. So we have on one side the adoption center, and then we have the desk pet jail on the other side. People have become very creative with your desk pets idea for sure. And so then we have people who are removing the desk pets, taking them away, right? Mm-hmm. And that may be very similar and mirroring our clip chart. Which, if you've seen any of my videos, I'm not a clip chart fan, but I can go ahead and come for you when you're using clip charts because I've been there. Okay. What a lot of people don't understand is when I'm sharing anything on my videos, I come from a place of I've been there. I understand. I've been in your shoes. And when you know better, you do better. Okay. That's what I like for people to take away. And that's why I continue to talk about a lot of things when it comes to classroom management, including the implicit bias and how that plays a role. And people don't want to hear about that, but I will continue to preach about it because that's the core. when I share my story on why I even became an educator, it's rooted in equity, injustice, and why I stepped into even wanting to serve in the communities where I serve at. And so that will forever be like a core pillar of what I will talk about. And it's so funny, I intentionally over the break, one of the videos that went bigger for me was me roasting all these different things, right? And you did comment on there. You were like, you're not afraid to come for people. I'm really not. But whenever I do those kind of videos and it gets a lot of traction for me, that's like 5 times the amount of following that I have, right? So when a video blows up, I always get these very interesting people, and I'm like, they don't really know what I'm about. Let me go ahead and let them know and just clear things out a little bit, and then you'll see like the following count kind of go down a little bit, because I want people to know what I'm here and what I'm here for. And a lot of the times, these behaviors that teachers are trying to zap away, so to speak, it's not always them. It could be you. I have a video coming up on that, and it's going to hurt some feelings, but it is what it is, because I will always speak the truth in love, but I'm going to speak the truth always, 100%. And so I definitely don't agree with the clip charts. I can come for people, as I was saying, because I did use a clip chart, people. That's what I want y'all to understand. Year 1, as a teacher, I used the clip chart. I have a whole video on my YouTube channel talking about clip charts and whether they're help or harm. And I go through it and I talk about it. And I've transparently shared that before. I probably somewhere in my house have one of my clip charts. If I find one, I will chillly use it in one of my videos. But when you know better, you do better. And clip charts are not the way. And so definitely when we like give a desk pet or remove a desk pet, you can definitely see how that would be just a new age version, I guess, so to speak, of a clip chart, which we don't want to do. So Marissa has shared very good things with you all about ways to use it appropriately. So she shared. Now I'm gonna go ahead and share. Okay. You asked, I'm answering. So as for me, I am very clear and consistent on what it takes to be effective in your classroom management, or to help have a well-managed class, so to speak. So when I say well-managed, people think, that's not what I mean by well-managed. When I say well-managed, you can have a classroom filled with the highest degree, highest level of joy, but it can also be structured. You can have a classroom that is a safe and a productive space. A lot of teachers talk about, I struggle with how to be warm but still strict. Or I remember a teacher that I coached last year. She said to me, I am struggling with how to be personable with my students, but still communicate to them that I mean business. You can be both and. It's not either or. Please understand that today. Take that away with you as well. That's for $3.99. So with that said, you can have this classroom that is the highest level of joy, but also has structure to it. It's okay, people. It really is. And it's possible, because my classroom was the epitome of that every single year. And for those who don't know my story, I struggled greatly with my classroom management, because for those, again, who don't know and are new to me, I became a teacher through a program called Teach for America. Teach for America is a 2-year commitment, but hi, I'm still here several years later. So I know y'all like to come for people like that on the program, but I'm still here, right? And going to be here. And so with that, what I want to say is, when I was going through my training of being a teacher who did not major in education, who had 0 prior teaching experience, and I had to teach 6th graders summer school, okay, while also learning how to teach, so to speak, I struggled with my classroom management. I was horrible at it. Horrible, capital letters. And those 6th graders ate me alive, okay? I said that will never happen to me again. And so I developed what is my holy grail, a classroom management plan, and I followed that plan to the T with fidelity. I also saw great models of classroom management, internalize that over 6 weeks. It was 6 weeks from my summer training to when I started my first year in the classroom. And it was a totally different person. And so what I do is I share everything online that helped me to get to that place, because literally I stepped foot on my campus as a first year teacher, and my principal came by and was like, "You're really good at this. Can you please help this veteran teacher down the hall?" I didn't know I was doing anything special. I just knew that I wanted a change, and I put some action behind it, and I followed a plan with consistency. And so for teachers who are, I serve teachers who are working in Title I schools, right? Because that's my experience. I'm speaking from my experience, okay? So I don't really work with teachers who are not at Title I schools. There are a few teachers who have come to me and received coaching from me who aren't at Title I schools, and that's fine. I'm not going to be like, no, I'm turning you away. Like, I'm here to serve teachers and support them. But whenever I talk on my content, it's always geared towards that teacher, that one teacher who is just like me in a Title I school. And so there are two parts that I believe to classroom management, or effective classroom management, so to speak. There's systems and there's strategies. Okay. And so systems is what I refer to as your foundation. A lot of people are like, what do you mean my foundation? Y'all always comment that on my videos, and I have several videos talking about it. However, I know things get pushed down in the page and you don't want to scroll through them. I have like over 300 videos at this point. But there are 5 critical components that make up your foundation. And I'm going to go through them very quickly. You can go also watch one of my pinned videos. I detail it out. But 90% of your effective classroom management comes from these 5 things, okay? Rules and expectations, rewards, behavior tracking system, consequences. Did I say procedures and routines? If I didn't, I'm saying it. And your relationships with students and their families, okay? And so when I share that, I kind of group them all together. I have my rules, rewards, consequences, behavior tracking, procedures and routines. Okay, relationships. So I'm like at 6, right? So that's the 90% for me. That's literally the 90% of your classroom management should be focused on those core areas. The 10% is the strategies. The 10% is the calm down corner. The 10% is the let's spin the wheel, that orange and black and white wheel that y'all have in the classrooms. I see all those videos. A lot of y'all have made your videos where I can't duet them. I think y'all know I'm going to react to them at some point. But when I react to the videos, when I do my reaction videos, I am very much kind. I thank y'all for letting me share and all that good stuff. So don't be afraid. The Jolly Rancher Wars, those are strategies. The teachers versus students, those are strategies. Okay, what else did I come for in that other video? I don't remember. So many.
Secret
but those
student.
are all strategies. What did I say?
Secret student.
Secret student?
That's a very popular one right now.
And it's a strategy, okay? Desk pets are also a strategy. Class dojo is a strategy. That's the 10%, okay? And so if you are working in a school where I have served in, okay, and you're simply relying on these strategies to carry the weight of your classroom management, that's why y'all comment on my videos and you're like, I tried this and that and this and that and it doesn't work. It's not going to. It's meant to be an add-on. It's the cherry on top. It's not the whole dessert, okay? If you can't say amen, please say ouch in the chat. So the problem is that you're using the strategies as if they're your 90%, and they're not. So you can't be getting mad at the class dojo. You can't be getting mad at your desk pets. You can't be getting mad at your behavior bingo, so to speak, because they haven't worked. When you have a whole 90%, the foundation that is either flawed, incomplete, or broken, your foundation is jacked. So let's fix that, okay? So the strategies are not meant to put the whole squad on their back and fix all of what you're experiencing in your classroom. It's not. So you can try all of them that you want to try. You can switch to trying something else next week, and it's not going to work. And I'm sure you're here because you have been someone who has tried a lot of those things I just named, and you're
Someone
still.
just commented and said, love this, feeling affirmed right now. And thank you for the reminder.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome. I hope you're following me so I can connect with you later. And so with that, there are some people who will argue me down and will say, hey, I have rules. I have procedures and routines. What do you mean? I have the rewards. I have the consequences. I have the relationships. And when I literally, those are the type of teachers who apply to work with me in one-to-one coaching. And I get there during their VIP day of one-to-one coaching, and I have them submit like all of this pre-work to me before we get on our session, our coaching session. And I'm like, okay, I see what you have, but here's what needs to be tweaked. This is what needs to be changed. And I don't believe in cookie cutter classroom management. Every single teacher who I have served and worked with one-on-one in a coaching capacity, each of them, they all have a different value, a different vision, or a different ideal picture for their classroom. And I help them to tailor it to their ideal vision. I'm not trying to make anyone just like me. I'm me. You can't be me. It's only one tyranny on this planet. Okay? But with that said, there are core criteria to my framework where I look at and I say, oh, let's just tweak this part right here. And then you will be able to have rules and expectations that students will actually consistently follow, that they'll be set up for success to meet time and time again. So you might have these things that I shared with you, and it's like, oh yeah, we hear about that all the time, you know, those things. But a lot of them are not set up the way that they need to be set up for ultimate success for you. And so if you take anything away from what I shared tonight, it's fix your foundation, please. Okay? Fix your foundation. And I want you to hit the follow button for Marissa. If you are not following her, I want you to hit the follow button for me if you're not following me. And if you would like to learn more about the top core components of a well-managed classroom that you need to pay attention to go from feeling frustrated that your students aren't following your directions, to feeling accomplished and keeping a productive and safe and orderly, joy-filled classroom, you can go right here, grab this completely free course for you. I have all of my core things that I would share with anyone. Go through it. You can have it. It's completely for you. Made it just for you. I want to open up for questions. So if you have questions, go ahead and share them. What questions are coming through on your side, Marissa?
Okay. Okay, I have one. It says, what is your favorite thing about teaching? But another one says, do you let the kids pick them or do you pick them for them as far as desk pets goes? I have one that says, how do you behavior management? What are your tools? Yep. Those are the ones that I have. As far as the desk pets question about, do I let the kids pick them, or so I typically don't have time to let them choose, but I will ask them, hey, what's the last one you received? And they'll tell me, oh, we got the banana last time. And so I'll choose something different from that. But typically I just don't have to, and sometimes we're like, okay, guys, I'm going to have to come to your classroom later. We're on to the next thing. So usually I choose. You don't want to spend too much time. I feel like, you know, the kids take forever to pick for things. I always have to count down 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, you know, like get them to pick it. So that's how we do desk pets in my classroom. If you're in a regular like core classroom, it's probably going to look way different. And then as far as the way that I manage behaviors, the tools that I use are just completely learned. And a lot of what Miss Tierney is saying is exactly what I've had to do, but I've had to figure it out without having her free course. So if you are ready to like figure it out before me, go do that, because it's obviously what she's talking about I figured out on my own, and she's 100% right. Something that I do that I like to tell people is that is really important is you really need to get to know your students and how they react to things. I feel like that can be a huge part of your classroom management. So I have 350 students. I have the ones who, typically from a day to day, we are regulated, but then I have friends who are not. And so what I do for that is I just get to know them. I react when they're looking for attention or they're doing something that's not desired. I react in the way that is best for them. So if I have a student who does not like to be directly addressed, doesn't like to be called out, I'm going to do this. I'm not going to say anything, or I'm just going to say, hey, yeah. Chase, will you move from this spot to this spot? I'm not addressing the behavior at all because I know the reaction that they want or do not want is going to be everything for me as far as management goes. Yeah. And then when those students leave my classroom, it's a clean slate. I don't ever, as long as they're not beating people up in my classroom, usually that's never the case, where I have to write anybody up. But when they come back to my class, or if I see them in the hallway, I'm intentional about saying, hey, buddy, how are you? How are you doing? I'm ready for music class tomorrow or whatever it is, because I don't want them to think that I'm going to hold anything, they're kids. So I'm not going to hold anything above their head of like, you better not come in the classroom and do this. And sometimes we'll do reminders like, hey, let's come sit on, like today, your spot is number 16. Number 16, let's get in there and find that spot and get started with class. Just little reminders like that aren't addressing behavior directly have been wonders for my behavior management as far as students who just, that's not how, discipline is not, to me, I'm like, I'm not actually going to discipline kids that don't belong to me. So I really don't. And if there's anything that requires that, that's my principle. Sorry, you get it, not me.
LOL, I'm cracking up. Somebody over here just said, what do you do when a student loses a desk pad or throws it or breaks it?
Sorry, buddy. My students get desk pads almost every time. So at the beginning of the year, I had a company send me these larger desk pads that are probably about this big. And those are really fun. They've sent me things periodically. But the ones I give out, I'm doing this on a budget. I'm paying for it for myself. I'm finding the cheapest ones I can find because no matter what, they're fun. And so I have like these little tiny ones. So they lose that big one. I'm like, I'm sorry, buddy, you're just going to have to collect the little ones. Like if I did this for you, I'm going to have to do it for everybody else. But just know that you're going to get more. So that's just kind of how I deal with that. It happens all the time. Happened today. It's a common thing. They're like, when are we going to get those big ones again? I'm like, you're not. So
LOL, that's so funny. I love what you said about just giving the look. Nonverbals are definitely powerful. They are a strategy though. I would say they fall into that 10%. So if you have a lot of chaotic behaviors, okay, because you know that you have something off in your foundation, just giving a look, baby, ain't gonna fix it. Fix the foundation and give the look. That makes a powerful combination with a strong foundation and the look. Whew, unstoppable. Let's see. I had another question for you over here on the desk pet side. Do kids play with them when they're not supposed to?
I don't really know. I have told the kids, like, because I'm the music teacher. I don't know if you guys caught that. So when they leave, sorry, my animals are playing right now. When they leave my classroom, they're gone. My pets. They're gone. And so I don't know. But we do have a conversation when I'm establishing, the expectations for desk pets and how we're going to receive them and how we keep them, keep receiving them. If I hear from their teacher, and they know this, if I hear from their teacher that so-and-so is playing with them the entire class, the rest of the class is doing this with them, they're throwing them at each other, anything like that, I say, we don't have to do them. It doesn't have to be something for us to, earn. So we just won't do them. But typically in my experience, that has not been an issue whatsoever. Not at all. So.
Yeah, that's good though. The bottom line, it comes down to setting the expectation. Before you roll them out, before you start incorporating them into your room, you need to set the expectation. And even though I have not personally utilized desk pets, that's just a common practice for anything. Set an expectation and hold students accountable to it. That's it.
Yes.
What is your advice for me? My cooperating teacher uses a clip chart and I don't agree with it. So when you say cooperating teacher, that sounds like maybe you're in your student teaching experience, because I
That's
know
what I'm
that
calling it.
yeah, last year, like I said, it was my last year in the classroom, and I had a student teacher with me all in the spring semester, and that's what I was called. However, that's their classroom. Okay, they run that place, so it's kind of tough stuff, but I would encourage you to have a transparent conversation. Now, you may be someone who's scared to rock the boat, and you don't have to come across harsh with it, right? You can kindly just say, hey, I'd like to hear your thoughts on something. I came across this article and it said X, Y, and Z about clip charts. What is your opinion on that? Or, hey, would you mind us trying X, Y, and Z strategy? Or can I try X, Y, and Z strategy when it's my time to leave the classroom? Right? How do you handle violent behavior in the classroom, such as hitting? My students are 3 and 4 year old. 3 and 4 year old. Marissa already had mentioned this earlier, but when it comes to behaviors and things like that, you have to explicitly teach them, because as she said, at home, their home life, that may be something that is okay or it's allowed, right? Every child has a different environment that they're bringing that all to your classroom, so you can never assume that they know how you expect for them to show up, or you can't expect for them to know we don't hit here. We keep our hands to ourselves, especially 3 and 4. They have to be explicitly taught those things. I believe K-12 does, to be honest with you. But when it comes to this, they're new. They're so little. You have to teach them and teach them and teach them, and they'll get it if you're consistent. If you're not,
Yeah,
um,
consistency.
someone talked about how they loved the look that you gave your dog because he was honking his toy.
I took it away too. I mean, this is the only squeaker that won't break. I'm like, dude, you've broken every squeaker in this house except for that one, and that's the toy he goes for.
That's too funny. How do you fix your foundation right here? Marissa said she figured it out herself, right? I figured it out myself, right? And that's one of the beauties about like why I love what I do so much, is because I get to fast track your success. You don't have to struggle. So struggling is a choice. I mean, you can either go to the link and check out the free course, or you cannot. And eventually, hey, you will find it out, but it might take way longer, you on your own Googling, Pinteresting, Instagramming, TikToking, to find it. Why not go ahead and get it all in one place? It's your choice. It really comes down to choice. And I talk a lot too. Like whenever I'm coaching teachers, baby, I can sit down and I can talk to you about everything in the world and tell you exactly what you can do to see the desired change that you want to see in your room. But it's up to you to leave that coaching session with me and to implement it. So if you don't want to take action, that's on you, right? And so I hope that you will take action today. These are all the questions on my side, besides someone asked about their school, how to incorporate desk pets with PBIS. I mean, I was at a PBIS school before, and the admin came around with the little trolley cart, so to speak, and that's how they used it, and the students could redeem their cash or whatever. So desk pets might be on the trolley cart. Redeem it. What are your thoughts on that, Marissa?
I've had different PBIS programs throughout my few years.
Yeah.
I've never seen an effective PBIS program.
Same.
So I don't, I think if you want to do desk pets, you should do them independently, and not try to make it part of a PBIS.
Yeah.
And you should figure out what your students need. If you're looking for a strategy, figure out what your students are needing and the motivator that they need, because it might just be extra recess. You don't even have to spend money. Like just having extra time to be outside. They love that sort of thing probably more than anything I've ever seen, is just time to play. So yeah, I don't know about that one. Also, when you were talking about making sure you coach these young teachers in my age range, and it's all about consistency, but it takes practice. Like my first year, I feel like as a teacher, you have to hear, see, talk, do everything all at the same time to really understand what's going on in your classroom. And my cooperative teacher used to always say that you have to be able to hear what they're talking about while you're saying this so that you can, do all these things. That is so hard to do, but it comes with practice and it comes with time. So when you're setting those expectations and procedures, like say you want your students to raise their hand, that means you have to ignore that student who's calling out and not raising their hand, or give them a nonverbal reminder like, I'm waiting for that hand to be raised. That's a hard thing to do, but it just takes practice. Because if you try it out and you're like, this doesn't work, it's like, well, you need to practice. It's not going to happen in 1 day or 2 days or 3 days. It could take a while, but it's certainly worth it. And it keeps your sanity like on the straight and narrow to be able to manage your class effectively. I feel like that's a huge reason teachers leave, especially right now, is because they can't. Well, it's not that they can't, but it's difficult. It is really difficult to manage a class properly, I feel like.
Awesome. Someone else has a question for you. Is there any pushback at your school from your gen ed teachers who see you giving desk pets?
No. So I sent out an email at the beginning of the school year. This is a brand new school for me. My old school is where I developed desk pets, and everybody knew what it was because TikTok, it was blowing up. Everyone was talking about it, and they obviously knew me. This new school, a lot of veteran teachers. I went from being kind of in the middle range of age. I'm only 26, but at the school I was working at previously, I was not the youngest, but I was also not oldest. Now I'm the youngest again. So I feel like I kind of have to prove myself. And it's so funny because I feel like sometimes I'm not taken seriously as a music teacher, so I have to prove that I'm competent in some ways, especially because I'm young. So when they hear desk pets, and they didn't say this to me, but I felt like, but some veteran teachers are so against learning or doing new things. That's why clip charts are still in half of my school. They just don't want to change. They want to keep doing the same. And I'm really sorry about my pets. So I sent out an email at the beginning of school. I asked my principal, hey, this is what I do. I don't want to just assume that they're okay with it, but I'm also just not going to do it because it's a tiny little thing. It's not, I'm not sending them home with ice cream every day, So, yeah. So I sent out an email. I linked some articles about desk pets that I had been in. I didn't get a single response on it. So I was like, okay, either they read it and they don't really care for it, or they didn't read it. And then it wasn't until like a few weeks ago that they're like, you have a TikTok, you have a following on TikTok, you came up with desk pets. What's desk pet? Like, coming all those things are like, and then I had one teacher say to me, why do you give them every time? Why do you give, like, you could give them once a week, or you could give them whatever. And I'm like, I only see them twice, and this is how I like to do things. I think it's fun to collect them. The kids, I mean, truthfully, with how my class is going, I don't really need any sort of strategy for that. If I, to be fully transparent, but I came up with desk pets. I feel the need to use them. And so this is how I do them. And I enjoy it. And the kids really love it. I think it's really something special for them, like a little treat, in the middle of the week. They work so hard. They're learning those new skills, and they're learning, kindergartners are learning how to read, and first graders are learning how to read. They're doing all these things. It's just like a little thing that's in the middle of the day, kind of fun. And so I just really enjoy doing it. I don't necessarily have to do it. And I haven't had too much pushback, luckily. I'm sure there could be some one day, but haven't yet. Luckily, they just kind of ignore it, I guess.
I love that. Someone says, I would have responded to your email, Marissa, and she gave you a red heart. She said, I love that both of you have such a strong passion. Yes, I love that. You have any questions on your side? I'm all done.
Yeah, I don't have any. I have someone says I'm a social worker here to learn all the things. The person who said they put a 1.25, it depends on how you use desk pets. That's why it's a 1.25. They explain that. Someone said I've used desk pets and they loved it. But I just want to reiterate what Miss Tierney is saying is if you want, like, if you're struggling in your classroom, implementing a strategy, like she said, is 100% not going to be effective long term. It might work for one day, it might work for a week, but it's not going to be something that works long term. You have to have that foundation that she's talking about. And I know that from experience as well. I mean, we talked about that at the beginning of the live, of just learning from all my mistakes and everything. And that's the other thing. Don't do too much. Like, some teachers want to do every single thing they see on TikTok and implement it and make it these elaborate, beautiful things. You're only giving yourself more work to do. And especially as a new educator, when you're filling your plate with all that stuff and you've already got stuff and you don't even know what's going on the academic side of it, and you're just trying to have as much fun with the kids as possible, you're going to overcomplicate it. And then you're going to end up letting yourself down. And you're also going to let your students down because you can't follow through with everything that you're saying that you're going to do. And so you have to be willing to say, like, okay, let's make this as simple as possible so I can figure out how to be a teacher, because cooperative teaching might be fun for you, but it is not the real thing. It's a good practice, but when you get in there and you have to do it all on your own, it's not the same. And when you overload it, it's not going to be fun either.
Spoken from an education major herself. All right, y'all. Listen, I have enjoyed my time. Like Marissa said, fix your foundation, y'all. It's free 99. Grab it. I am going to go ahead and tell you all thank you so much for tuning in. It's been such a pleasure. We went a little bit longer than we were supposed to. This was supposed to be over 30 minutes ago, but I really enjoyed it. Thanks, Marissa. This replay is going to be up either on YouTube or Instagram. I'll put it up. Okay, you guys? All right. Thanks, Marissa. Bye, y'all.